Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here. Had some issues today. I cleared my throat and thought I checked it, so must have bumped it when it went back on. Anyway, I purchased this airbrush a while ago. This is the Gallery Ace G8C98, and I really like it. It has some great features. As I was saying when I was muted, I also have an Iwata airbrush, and I have several Harder and Steenbecks. I have this one here as a recent redo of the Ultra series, which is their basic kind of airbrush. I mean, there may be lower ones than this, but this is like sort of an introductory airbrush that's pretty phenomenal. Has lots of abilities that help you develop good muscle memory for airbrushing. This little dial here adjusts how much throw you have, so the amount of paint that will come out. Has I don't know what 1, 2, and 3 actually are, but base is your base coat, priming, and so you're priming, you're putting more paint on, then basing, you're gonna put a little bit less paint on, and then 3 is very little, and 2, 1, and then there's wide open. The other thing that it does is you can't pull the trigger back unless you press down, and that's to teach you to get the airflow going before you spray. So it's pretty awesome, lots of great stuff, not terribly expensive. But I was looking at, the other day I was talking about airbrushes and I said I didn't really want to buy any more because I really don't need any. As much as I'd like to try the most recent Harder and Steenbeck, I just was not really wanting to buy it. Now, I did go on, Galleries was having a sale the other day. I think I purchased this on Friday, not this one. But I looked at this cup, and this is what I really wanted. So this is like a little micro cup, and this is exactly ripped off from, and you know, somebody else might have done it before, but I had my friend Sebastian purchase one for me for my Harder and Steenbeck, and it's even smaller than this. But you take off this cup, and it mounts in here, and it's tiny, right? So you're just doing a little bit of paint, and let me zoom in a little bit more on this. That's because I don't really use a lot of paint unless I'm priming. And I just was like frustrated with the amount of effort it took. Ooh, don't put that one in there, that won't thread. I was frustrated a little bit with the amount of washing up it took, particularly just to get pure white when I was priming. Now, reality is you can basically run water through it before you change colors, and you'll get it pretty close to being straight white if you want. And for the most part, all I'm doing is zenithal shading when I do something like that. And so that doesn't matter. But anyway, wow, this doesn't even really sink in that much. But this is the cup, a micro cup for the Harder and Steenbeck. It's really awesome. And I wanted to see if they had one for, well, I got an ad that had stuff on sale from Gallery, G-H-A-A-L-E-R-I, G-A-A-H-L-E-R-I. I don't think I ever get that right. And they're new, and they're Chinese made, and they seem pretty great. Do I have a protector on that? I should. Oh well. I don't know where it went. I just like protecting the needles. Anyway, so I went to their website and looked because I saw they had this micro cup, and it said you can look at connected items that work on that airbrush. And I saw that, and I thought, wow, does this work on this one? And it said it did not. So I ended up buying this one, which it's called the Mobius 0.3. I haven't used it yet. I will. But it said it didn't work, the cup. So I bought the one, and then the first thing I did here before I messed up the audio was checked it, and it does thread on, which is good. I want the stuff. I think that they can have fewer SKUs and things like that. Now, it seats pretty good. It has a bit of a gap like the other one, so theoretically it could, I mean, definitely paint could get in there and kind of clog up the threading. Not that that's really important because it's easy to clean. Makes it one other thing that's not fun to clean. But it works. So I probably would have just bought this for $8 instead of buying a whole new airbrush. This one is a little easier to clean anyway, so it's okay. You can see back here where this is an adjustment for the nut that they have. They have a Teflon needle bearing is what they call it. I'm sorry. This is a nut to adjust the needle bearing. And that's actually pretty great if there's any kind of issues. But it's also easier to clean. And you can see, so when you pull your needle out the back end, which I've never opened this up. Let's see how that is. It's just fine. You can see if any paint's coming out. If I could clean that right there, if I could just take a Q-tip and wipe it. Now the needle bearing should actually take care of that. But if it didn't, I could just put a Q-tip in there and wick off any paint as I'm pulling it out. This one definitely feels a little bit like they're trying to copy a little more of the Harder and Steenbeck stuff. But it looks very nice. I'm not really sure that this Mobius, or what I think they're getting the name from, is necessary because just the opening is perfectly fine. One of the things you can do is you can, hey, thanks for the follow. I'm Brendan. So one of the things you can do is you can pull this out to get paint so you don't have any splatter when you first start painting. Thanks so much for follow. But the new one is great. So this is the Ace. Hey, thanks Excalibur 890. Another follow. Thanks guys. This airbrush is definitely a little bit different proportions and stuff. I chose to not get one. There's one that has a Mac. Wow. Thanks, Struggle. Oh, you know what? Somebody probably rated us. Thanks, Struggle G. Or Struggy G? No, I think it's Stuggle G. This gallery is supposedly a little bit, slightly lower level than their Ace. They both seem pretty great to me. As a matter of fact, here's the one. Let's look at the difference here, because they claim their cup is more polished on this one. Now, so they were having little bundle packages on sale, and I think it was $69 or something like that, or 50 something. I think you can get the airbrush for 50 something dollars. This does look pretty polished. It does look like it's more polished than the one on the right, and this is very polished. So this will probably be pretty easy to clean. Let me see here where the graduation. Well, so the connection point at the bottom seems a little bit better milled on this side than this side. But let's see if this will work on this airbrush. I bet it will, since the other one seems to. Oh, of course it fits on this one. Let me try it on this one, the Ace. I keep waiting for them to have a little even higher end one. Wow, this fits pretty great too. So I'll have to try this and see if it's any better for cleaning. It does make a difference for me anyway. When I'm cleaning, I can clean out this paint cup more easily. And one thing I'm concerned about, where others don't seem to be so worried about it, is I don't want any chunks of paint to get into the mix. So I want the cup to be super clean, because I put brushes in there to mix things. I put this little needle an old needle that I had bent slightly back in the day. Actually, it was pretty bad, but I actually straightened it out recently. I was like, wow, I could have probably gone with it. But I use this to actually agitate the paint inside the cup. So what I usually do is I put a little bit of water or airbrush thinner in first, then paint, and then mix them together and back bubble. So if you put your finger on the end of the airbrush and you pull the air and pull back a bit, it'll cause the paint to stir inside the, bubble inside the pot, inside the cup. And so that kind of mixes the paint together. And yeah, you can see this seats better. But I still think that they work, and I wish that they'd made them exactly the same, so that everything would be interchangeable, which would make this system even more amazing. But yeah, this little teeny cup was like $8 on sale. Wow, look at that. It's not even that tight on the airbrush it's supposed to fit. So ultimately, it's about the same. It's very much like the Harder and Steenbeck. But yeah, this one seems like it'll be cool. I haven't used it yet at all. I will use it soon. I don't think it's necessary. This actually has a different type of trigger as well. Why did I have a hard time saying that? So it has a different kind of trigger. This is a new style that they have. I do not have the problem that others might have with this, because when I'm holding this, it's right, but it does feel like this is more positive. I wonder if it's actually usable between the two airbrushes. I'm sure I can actually probably buy one for this. But yeah, their stuff seems pretty good. It was pretty fast. It actually ships from here in California, which was pretty exciting. So I feel like it's a good choice. And especially for a starter airbrush for that kind of money. I just dropped that cup. And the cups look nice, really nice. The new ones are really polished, so I'm eager to try those out as well. But it makes it easier so that when I clean, I can actually clean the cup between, well, anytime, but especially going between paint. Because if I'm changing, you know, rinsing bit, putting new paint in, I don't want any flecks of paint to get in there to get stuck, because that invariably causes problems for me anyway. Not everybody's gonna have the same issues, but I really like it, and I think it's best to have that as clean as possible. Some of the other milling, if you look at the milling on this one, comparing these two, it's hard to probably tell, but this one is relatively smooth, but it's not as polished. And I'm not certain about the gold thing. I'm not even a big fan of gold stuff, but I wanted to support, this is over a year ago, Squidmar. I like his stuff. I'm just not as smitten anymore, just because it's a little cuss heavy, which I don't love on media. But it's pretty great, and this is the other piece that they came with it, which basically has the same, this was the bundle that has the same kind of needle guard. Is really, what do they actually call it? They have it in the directions here. They call it, they usually have all the other one actually had on the inside of the box all the parts. Does this have that? It does. So here they call it the air cap, and so that's probably the correct name. I've always called it a needle guard. And they give you the same kind in the kit as the Harder and Steenbeck one, which was, let's just pull it out and check it out. But it's pretty cool. I'm really quite the fan of their, hey Board Game James. So this is, yeah, the gold one is pretty sweet. They're all nice. Even my most basic ones are pretty great. Where did that, oh, there it goes. So it allows you to, let's change it. I wonder if it will work on this. Let's find out. Probably not. It sure would be nice though. I would love everything. That's the one thing that Harder and Steenbeck seem to be doing now, which is making their parts compatible across the line. So I think you can use the nozzle from the new titanium nozzle in some of the lesser components and older components. Let's not try to strip this. I did paint with the airbrush the other day, which on the stream, and it's fine. I can't do it. Yeah, I don't know if that fits. Oh, it does. Boy, those are actually harder to put on than the other ones. So what it allows you to do is you just pinch to clean off any tip dry, where paint dries on the tip of the airbrush, which actually affects the flow, the spray, and you can sometimes have like spatter coming off of it. You know what I would do, and I usually do, is I pull that needle back so I don't mess it up trying to do this kind of stuff. Let me put the regular one back on. So, I mean, I think the gallery stuff's pretty great. As you've seen here, they have products that are packaged. So when I bought this one here, I actually had a problem with the nozzle. There was a bit of a tiny little bend to it, which I sort of once I wrote them and told them what was going on, because I was like, what's going on? And I noticed that there was paint drying on the tip of the needle, like very quickly. And I realized what it was. I was like, oh, okay, so I felt it, and it was a tiny little tug, and I wrote them, and they sent me a replacement one, and it's fully packaged. It's a full-on packaged replacement part that they're selling. And the fact that they're making it that easy for relatively inexpensive prices really sells me on their stuff. I think that they're pretty great. They give you a lot of the elements. They give you replacement. There should be a bag with, let's see if I can find that. There should be a bag with replacement washers and stuff too. I don't see that here. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I just made a mess because I brought it all out here real quick. But they give you some extra parts for the stuff, which a lot of them, well, some of them do. It depends on the version you buy. I love Badger stuff, but they tend to, unless you can get, I mean, I bought stuff at the conventions from them and things like that. I've been a fan of their product for a long time, and I like their stuff. But it's the fact that these guys are a new company and trying to follow the model of, there's a nice big fingerprint there that's not from me. You know, and give you all the parts and accessories and customer support. So I think it's pretty great, especially for the money, and I'm eager to check out this new one. And hopefully it'll make it a little easier. This one's pretty great, but it's this big cup that's kind of a pain. I end up getting, you know, I can never like drip it directly into the center. So there's always something I have to clean. And what I really should do is probably just wipe that up while it's fresh. And maybe the next time I'll try that too. I don't know. But the other one, it will be less of that. And I will hopefully be able to just drip it right into the center of the throat of that, very simply. And it should be cool. Let's see, are those different? Oh, they are slightly different. I believe this is the one for this. Let me put that other one inside the box though. But I like that they give you a quick disconnect nipple, as they call them here, on this as well. It's pretty sweet. They give you a lot of stuff. But yeah, oh, here they are. So they give you a bag of Teflon bearings and some washers, some rubber gasket, O-rings. The problem is rubber, if you use any alcohol, causes it to decay. As a matter of fact, what was the one that, was it the, one of the ones I have, I was gonna put this in there. One of the ones I have actually has an O-ring problem. Oh, maybe it was the previous one of these. I think it was. Anyway, but I like them. I think they do a good job, and they're not too expensive, and they're available on Amazon easily. I will say this about Harder and Steenbeck, not as easy to get. I had to have a friend actually get me parts because they weren't, maybe Spray Gunner has them. They might actually carry them, but they were out of stock. And so I had my friend get them for me in Germany, since they're made in Germany. And, you know, that was a good price because they're made in Germany, so it wasn't a big deal. But not everybody has that opportunity to get stuff that easily. And so I mean, I will tell you that even Badger has availability issues occasionally, and they're made here in the United States. So I don't know. And there might be other sources. I have looked for things on parts before from various manufacturers. And this is something I like to recommend brushes to everybody. Hey Circe, happy Valentine's Day Eve to you too. Nikki and I have some plans tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. It would be fun. We don't usually do something on Valentine's Day, but we'll see. We have had a lot of rain, so that might affect things. But the other thing that I got was I backed Game Envy's. So I've been a fan of their stuff since 2017 or something. This is a hobby holder. Wow, it doesn't say it on there anywhere. It's a modular, geez, this is supposed to pop off easily, and I never seem to get it to pop off easily. So this is like a handle. This piece here can go onto other stuff. Here's an example of something I 3D printed. So there's the hobby holder logo. They provided 3D STLs to print a handle, which actually is a pretty great handle, by the way. I like it a lot for me to use, and I actually use this one. I like their stuff a lot, and have backed them for years with different things. They just recently did what they called the Exemplar wet palette, which I was like, I don't need it because it was big, and I really don't need a big one. The neat thing about this thing is you use bottle tops and just use a bit of poster tack to hold your mini onto it, you know, which is pretty great. And it's got this handle that lets you hold the miniature in a specific manner. Now, of course, I would be holding it with my left hand and then painting with my right hand. But it really gives you some stability to paint. It's pretty nice. I have some Wrath. Let me see if it has the name on here. Wrathcore ones, which are neat. Same idea. It's got the little thing. It has a little skull on the top, sculpted skull that holds the wires together so it doesn't poke you or anything like that. It's pretty great. I like these a lot too. They're on cork. You can pin these. You can. I don't know if do they have wooden discs? I can't remember. But I have several of these. Scott backed them at one point, got a bunch of the stuff, which was really nice of him. And I like those too. I use them all, but I like the ones that I use on camera the most is this one, because it's actually it's got a bit of the bulkiness of that bottom. And I could paint, but I find myself on the paint stream, it's either this one which I actually made myself a long time ago, which is a piece of dowel that I cut, and it's got some of the poster tack. I think this poster tack might have come with the red grass at the time. I can't remember. And it's fine. It's a big fat chunk because I keep adding more to it, keeping it fresh. But I mean, if you just knead it, it actually gets pretty sticky and put stuff on there. But I mostly use these two, even though I use all of them when I'm painting myself. Now, everything looks brand new because I'm ridiculous and I clean everything as pretty clean as I can possibly get it. For whatever reason, that bugs me. So, James, I have a couple 3D printers. I have a, gosh, it's probably it's actually nearly 7 years old, Creality CR10S, which I still use. I just printed some stuff the other day with it. I actually still have some stuff on the print bed. Let's see if that pops off real easily. I actually changed, probably last year. Yeah, they just come off. I changed to a magnetic bed, metal, stainless steel, supposedly magnetic bed. And if you let the stuff cool down on the bed, it just falls off. So these are little filament clips. There's a little bit of goober there, whatever that is. That I run the filament through it, and it holds on a reel. It's pretty cool. I just need a few more because I've lost some. And I printed what else did I print? I printed some other. I printed some speaker mounts for the ones from the Sonos speakers from IKEA, which are pretty nice, especially for the price. I also need to print one of these. I was wondering why it didn't work. So this is something I printed for. The neat thing about 3D printers is you print parts for your own printer, but this cracked a while back, and I thought something else was broken, but it's basically the key. It has a flat edge on it. It just snapped, probably from me trying to twist something through it or something. I don't know, because I don't know what fill rate I use. This is like one of my earliest prints, so I need to print a new one of those. I have foolishly made changes to models and didn't save them to the drive, only saved them on the card, and I cleared stuff off for clarity's sake. And actually what I've decided now is just to make an archive folder inside that thumb drive and save all those old things and move them to that. So yeah, I changed one thing and I printed out the replacement part for it, and it was the wrong size. And I was like, oh, that's right, I resized that and I don't remember the size. So I'll have to do some scale, I'll have to measure it and figure out that scale drop. Yeah, the bamboo looks great, James. I would love to have one of those. This one works perfectly well for me. I know how to do it, and it works. It's been fantastic for me. I've used it. I got it, I think, in March of 2018. We just got back from Gamma Trade Show, and Scott was here, and so we checked it out, and I ran prints on it right away. I'm semi-adept at using those type of things, but I also have a Saturn S3 from Elegoo, a resin printer, which is pretty fantastic. I love it. I printed, let's see if I have something I can show easily. I love printing stuff for like, Gaslands. These are wheels that somebody had modeled, and they look amazing. And I really love this stuff too. Those are suspension pieces for Gaslands, which I might use. It's like spring suspensions with a part of the axle or the drive rotor. Yeah, this is great stuff, and I love. I mean, the clarity is phenomenal on this. I think this is a 4K printer, and I'm pretty sure they're 8 or 16K now. So I'm sure they're really great. Maybe is it a 4K? I can't remember. Nikki actually was very nice and got everybody to got that together to give me for Christmas. So anyway, let's look at because I do want to paint. I've got some exciting stuff I've been working on. But let's look at the Game Envy stuff. So the one thing I was most excited about was they made their exemplar palette smaller. See, I'm a dork. I'm not sure that it's going to be small enough. As a matter of fact, it's longer than the one that I'm trying to replace. Oh well. I should have measured it, but this looks like a great tray. So this is the wet palette portion here. Let's kind of zoom back out a little bit. I'm one of the last ones to get fulfilled. I did order another of their lamps. They have their lucent lamps, These are great. I ordered another one because I really like it. It's not very expensive, maybe $120 normally. And if you back them on the Kickstarter, I actually backed it. I didn't just think I needed a lamp. I have actually fantastic lighting in here, but I decided at the last, you know, at one point they gave me access to it or something. They maybe had a sale, and so I just ordered it, and I was very happy with it. Really happy with it. It's a great light. I don't really need it here, but I want it for other stuff. But yeah, they made this smaller one, and this one was also exciting to me because of this. They include a Turbo Dork. This is a new version of their silicone palette, and it's got rests for the your paintbrush. It's got these wells. I wish these were a little deeper, to be honest with you. But maybe this is more volume. Like at the size it is, it's probably the same amount of volume. But it allows you to mix between them, which is really great. It's a little wet palette, you know, like a place for water or mixing. It actually has room for storing your brushes. It has a gasket to let it breathe, which is not on my red grass palette, and I actually think this is probably the one reason why it was one of the reasons that triggered me to actually buy it. So it gives you sponges, and I actually think I ordered some additional. Wow, this gives you a lot of stuff. I ordered additional sponges here. I mean, paper. This is not going to be as exciting as the ones I've been using, so it's dry right now. But this is the same piece of paper I've been using from Redgrass. This is their hydration membrane is what they call it. And this has been cleaned. Now, I'm not a super messy painter. I only usually am working in like one of the corners. But I've reused this piece of paper now at least 12 times. I did get a fold in there, but it hasn't caused any problem with it. They say 4 to 10 times. I've had no problem with it. Now, again, I'm not as messy as others probably. They give you a couple of sponges. So these are their sponges. I will say that these look pretty good. They're multi-layer, so there's some extra trick to that. So yeah, it is one of those bubble. This is actually a fidget popper. This is Johan and John from Amazon, and it is great. Like, you missed it. I keep doing it off camera, but I've done it once or twice. You just pop the paint out and it comes out in a little cup, and it's just easy to do. I will generally either use another one or use a paper towel to clean up the rest, but it's really phenomenal. So this sponge is dual layer, and I don't know what that does, but they were pitching it in the Kickstarter. Wow, I'll open that up later. They call them hydration sponges, and it says advanced dual layer. So they give you 2 of those in the kit. Did I order more of those? I did. So I have a total of 4 sponges, which is the one thing I wish I could easily get from my Redgrass palette. I have a couple Redgrass palettes, but I wish oh, look at that. I think that's a little squeegee to flatten your palette, your paper on the palette, which is very appreciated. This tells you everything about it. I will go for the whole schmear when I go for it. I may use it today, but probably not. I've mostly been using the wet palette. The fidget popper palette for speed paints. It's fantastic. And I used to use the wet palette all the time for speed paints and contrast paints, but my issue is I have a little bit less control of the intensity of the stuff when I put that plus, because it's water plus the contrast medium. So I have been, when I'm using like larger amounts, it's much more appreciated. I also got this. I think it's like a little, did I pay for it? Probably. A little brush rest. Maybe it came with something. You can see all the stuff I got here. I also got these. They call them palette shields, and they're little copper. So I did not have problems with mold or mildew in my palettes until recently, and that's where I changed my habits. Because I would still be using stuff daily and would have issues. So these are basically little copper weights. So they help supposedly reduce mildew. You put them in the corners holding your paper down. I will try them. I noticed Ninjon was using them. He had a wet palette too. I almost backed his, but I think his was, I can't remember. There was one thing. I really think I wanted that Turbo Dork wet palette, the fidget popper palette kind of thing. I also got, but I'm excited. I mean, this is kind of a great idea. I don't paint with others necessarily, but I might. My friend Daryl and his daughter, he wants her to start painting. So I might, it's harder to get people to, you know, come over here. So we might go over there. They're not that far away. I mean, I will try to get them to come here. I have all the paints you can want here and brushes and everything else. But I'm excited. This is cool to get. I know that they had these were like, I think a little bit later in the delivery. And then I think the lamp probably slowed things down. So I literally just got this yesterday. And it was totally soaked. Amazingly enough, nothing inside was wet, but the entire package was wet, wet, wet. But I also bought their brushes. And I've never bought their brushes. So I'm not that particular, but particular. I have like a double kind of a thing going on there. Oh, you're just outside the mine about 30 minutes ago. I want to go. I want to go to Denver again sometime. I would like to go. I know we were talking about Casa Bonita. I almost would like to call in a favor in some way to go in there a little bit sooner than waiting, but we probably wouldn't do that. But you never know. I actually checked in on Trey during the fires, and I haven't heard back. Now, of course, things are crazy. So these supposedly are Kolinsky Sable Phalanx Select. They look pretty good, but they also look a little bit like the, what number is this? A 4. These are pretty great priced. So, I mean, ultimately, I don't care. I think they'll all be great. But I will tell you, they kind of look like the sables from, not really. These are the same ones. I mean, similar is my mind. I don't know if they have a 4 in here, though. Let's see. I've got a 3, that's close. Let's check out the 3 Bombwick. So these are also Kolinsky Sable. Oh, it looks kind of similar. They have changed. This was from Monument Hobbies. They have changed the way they, how they manufacture them, so they might not be the same anymore. These are similar, but not really. They don't look, now again, this is a 3 and the one here is a 4, so that could be all it is, but they're very close. They have starch in them, so I can't really judge the brush yet, but I will try them. But it was not terribly expensive to add them on the Kickstarter, so I decided to go for it. Because brushes are expensive. I mean, basically, I think this whole set was the cost of a decent 0 or 1. So I thought, what the heck, let's just go for it. But the 00, a 2, and a 4, that's a pretty good range of brushes. And if they're good, I'll let you know. I'll tell you right now, that does not look good. This is their 00. Let's clean it up a little bit and see. Now, the tube that protects it came off during shipping, so, and that happens all of the time, and usually they get damaged. This has these elastic ties, so, and they're inside of a box, so they didn't get hurt. But it does look like one of the hairs is, wow, it does look like a nice brush though. So we will see. Yeah, my challenge is I actually put them back in, and I have messed up brushes, so it's hard. I almost feel like you shouldn't bother with the little guards, but this isn't really being used yet, so I'd almost never put them back on once they are used. I think I did this because this was brand new brush I've used like 3 times. So yeah, it looks like there's pretty good stuff. I'm happy to get another one of those lamps, and it'll be cool to see how they all work. You know what? I think this is the wrong one for that. Let's put the correct one. Although this is a 3. Let's see if this is better. But I do, so here's what I like. I like longer bristles. It's about the same. I wonder if these are the same. They do seem similar. They're crimped the same. They could be the same manufacturer. I don't know that these are made. Well, let me see. Does it say where it's made? They should tell you. I believe the other ones were made in Germany. Doesn't say. That is weird. You're really supposed to say where things are made. Whatever. Cool. More brushes, which is always a good thing. Let me put these back. I have not used these as much. I've used a couple of them. One thing I will tell you though is look at what this does. It is, I don't know if it's distorting. It feels like it's glue, but I don't think it is. On the ferrule. I don't know if it's. Let me try cleaning it off and see. I think I've tried cleaning it off on the other brush I actually do use regularly, and it didn't come off. So I would say maybe pull those tubes off once you get it, because it feels kind of sticky. So I'm using alcohol. It's not really taking it off. Let me see if it feels sticky once I've used the. Well, I actually don't really hold it there, so it's fine. But they all seem to be doing that when it has the little tube on it and it's stored in the. You know, I have them in a tube that they ship them in as well, so it's not necessarily required, but. They're all nice. I really like. They don't make. I guess they don't make Uncle Adams anymore. He is now part of the Badger. Part of the event team from Army Painter, which is great and exciting for him. I mean, he got to go to Sweden to their factory to check out some stuff. Yeah, his brushes. I love them. They are all synthetic and they are made in Germany. I think they're great. And I really like synthetic. I'm a total fan of synthetic brushes. This is a red grass one that I got a number 2. I almost always had brushes whenever they have them on campaigns. I never have backed a single, like an airbrush, paintbrush campaign, but that's pretty great. So, I don't know what I showed the last time. I might have done these while I was on camera. I feel like I did most of this stuff off camera, but who knows. So I was painting Mantis. And she turned, let me zoom in again. She turned out pretty great. And the interesting, so what I really actually am enjoying is seeing the different priming methods. I will be doing all of Scott's the same way as the other ones I'm painting. But here's Scott's, and here's the ones that I primed. They look great. Both of them look great, or all three of them. But the rattle can priming, now I did go back in and airbrush her face to brighten it up instead of doing like I'd done with others, where like here, I hand painted her face white. It doesn't look too bad though, but it's a little more splotchy. This looks more like these two. The highlights tend to be a little bit brighter as well, like the green is greener and stuff like that, but it looks good. They look really, really good together. And you wouldn't really notice the difference between them too much on the playfield anyway. And you wouldn't have both anyway. I do need to varnish these, but they turned out really cool and I'm really having fun. Like I've kind of kicked it into high gear because the other one I was working on was Nova. I'm not as blown away with Nova as I'm kind of done with the blue. But I'm sure there's going to be tons more blue. Now these are all 3 primed differently. Scott's is this one here on the right that he previously primed. These 2 are I primed. They're pretty good. I like what I did with the little energy blast here. It looks pretty good. I actually kind of think that one looks a little better. The rattle can primed one looks a little better than the others do. But they look good. They all look good. I don't think, you know, on the table they're going to look about the same. This is a little bit more intense in the bright spots, right? Because it's white. I'm actually amazed at how good of a job rattle can priming does for coverage, to be honest with you. I almost feel like because it's a lot of spray, I suppose. It's better than the others. But I'm real happy with that. I think all 3 of those look great. And so then I started on, about to play Onotama. Awesome. I started painting Drax. And again, you can see more clearly here, this is the rattle can prime one, but they look similar. They really look quite good together. And I'm close to being done on all of them. I was painting and then I looked at like the last one. So I was running out of time and and I had a bunch of the blue paint and I was trying to finish painting the guy before I left and I thought, oh, I got it done. Well, I mean, I was in my head, I didn't finish because I ran out of paint. And I came the next day out and I'm like, oh, I finished it. I was looking at it, but I didn't paint either of his arms. So I think it was this one, and I had to go back in and approximate the mix. It might have been this one, actually. It looks a little bit lighter. But it does not matter. I mean, his arms are up higher. They should be lighter, so it's okay. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. One other little trick I want to try. So this one I didn't paint the eyes. Did I paint the other ones? No, I haven't painted either of them. So this one I tried using. So we did get out this weekend. What was the deal? How did we do that? Oh, on Sunday, we filmed our last filming with Gavin, and we had Deborah as well. Goodness gracious, the 8th? I guess that's right. Was that this weekend? I don't remember. I think it was. Yes, it was. Gavin is moving to New Jersey, which is unfortunate. I mean, it's good for him. I think it'll work out. You know, he's an actor as well. And it's production work is kind of drying up here in California. I hope it doesn't continue to be this way. Because there's a lot of studios here. So here's what really did him in, is he has a family, total family of 4, and the fires messed him up. So first of all, they went down to San Diego to get away from the smoke, because they lived in Brentwood, or at least Brentwood adjacent. I think Brentwood really, because Brentwood is adjacent to the Palisades fire, which was the worst. And same with the Altadena fire. They're both terrible. And he, wow, did I not clean this brush? I guess I did. It's just the tiniest amount. So I was actually using this to do the eyes, but I was telling you about my trick. Anyway, so we filmed with Deborah and Gavin. Deborah will also be gone now for at least 5 months, because she's going to go film Deadpool. I keep saying that. Daredevil. They're doing the 4th season or the 5th season now. It's really season 2 of the new one, and the 5th season overall for the show. I hope it is good for her. I hope she has a good time. I mean, she knows, you know, a lot of the people. None of the production crew are the same, though. I don't think, which is a bummer. Especially for a New York production, you know, that's good for everybody to like have multiple jobs that have the same kind of crew. Anyway, so I think I painted on Sunday evening when we came back. So what happened was Sunday we went to, we were able to go, we were going to meet Brian and Tashi for lunch. And so after we had lunch, we went over to the hobby store in Burbank Hobbies, and they carry a good amount of stuff. They're not miniature focused. They have game color. That's about the gamiest of stuff that they have. Most of it's more like scale modeler kind of stuff, and Gunpla Gundam stuff, which is awesome, by the way. They had a bunch of that stuff. But I was able to finally get this paint, and it is what I used in Germany. I used it to zenithal highlight these miniatures, and it was amazing. It did it. Now it's a much tinier surface, right, to paint comparatively, right? But I was really satisfied with the white, how it laid out on there. My problem with, I think, now, it could also be that I have discovered that, let me see if I have some primed. Actually, you know what? The primed stuff over here is the one that's going to show you the most. The whites are just not intense. Now, I feel like I shake the paints enough. And this is probably fine. I have actually, I'm sure, at least twice sprayed this one, the zenithal part, and went a little crazy with it, which is not exactly correct. But here's the other ones. These actually look dark, but they look bright right now. I probably did these twice, but they look pretty good. It's a little too, but you know, you see it's dark underneath. It's pretty good. I mean, they're comic book characters, right? You know, they should be bright. And I'm following stuff on Reddit, and there's some amazing paint jobs on there. And they're doing more traditional style paint jobs, which I totally appreciate and if I had known when I started this project, I probably would have well, here's the deal. I do it this way because I want others to do the same thing. And it's a quick way to get painting without, and get really nice results without being a completely skilled painter. I'm okay at blending and things like that. I do it all the time, but I'm just not confident in that. It takes me time. I did these, well, here's one I fully did, which I show every so often. Now, it's not a ton of blending or anything like that. This one I did like 15 years ago now, I think. I believe I started in 2010, around this time. Now, I haven't painted any, I painted one or two more of these, and that's it, and neither of them are as completed as this one. But this was like a week's worth of work, or, evenings, a couple hours every evening. These, I can do 3 in like a few hours. But I started to do this because I wanted folks to quit being kind of afraid. I've done dry brush versions of these for the zenithal highlighting. I've done airbrush. I have not rattle can, but I am painting rattle can prime ones now. So the 3 main methods of doing zenithal. I have not done an actual slap chop version. Although I would say that Black Widow is probably a slap chop one. Is this it? Dang it. Throwing it around. That can't be good for it. She is primed. I think this is the dry brush. I don't know though. It looks pretty good. But her face, I honestly feel this is the one the problem is the black, which is okay, right? Black is black, and it has a lot of shading and the highlight of just being on the table. Although I don't know, it doesn't look like it. Where would the dry brush one be? I might have saved it for myself. I've painted this one 4 times. And I don't think, oh no, you know what? This is not. This is the one that's for the other set I'm painting. So the dry brush one is somewhere else. Oh, here she is. Okay. So this is dry brush. I had to go back in and prime it. Now, the way it's dry brush, and you can see here, it's a little bit more slap choppy. Where slap chop is you just dry brush the whole thing, maybe paying a little bit of attention on her face and stuff like that, which I recommend you do. But it looks pretty good. I like it, but let's compare the two. This is more like, this is almost exact. I actually like, this is my favorite of the ones so far. Her face is not as great as the other one, but everything else about her is awesome compared to my first one, which is the one I kept. I usually give the better ones to the others now. Scott's. We'll see who gets the best one now, because since I'm doing 3 sets. But I probably would have, had I known, I might have been doing like one for the stream. Here's the deal. I want them all to be the same. I want them to look similar when you have them all. And part of me was like, gosh, I could really get good at blending and stuff if how have I done 4 of these? I feel like I'm missing one. I don't think I have to paint Scott's. I'm pretty sure Scott did his. Let me look. What does she look like? She's got 2 batons. Scott painted a lot of his already. He went through like most of the box sets. Hey, thanks for the follow, Geek My Gamer Games 99. I think Scott painted most of the box set, the base, the base game and the expansions. So he already had done most of those. And I'm just doing his stretch goal ones right now. But I really like them all. Gosh, I feel like I have it, but I must not. I still feel I have 2 of them. I did mine. Oh, maybe I've done only 3. I did my original one. I did this one, and I did my friend's. So I think I've done 3 of them. I haven't done, well, I feel like I've done 4 of somebody. Maybe Iron Man. Iron Man's probably the one I did 4 of. Because, I actually dry brushed him too. So I did do 4 of that one. 1, 2, 3. There's another one floating around here. I think I've done 4 of that one. 1. Maybe just 3 on that one too, now that I think about it. I don't know. It was funny, I was looking through my photos and I found so I claimed I missed these miniatures, like when they came out. I found a picture of them in my, like I saved a photo of it in my photos from during the pandemic. And I'm like, what did I do? Because I love these miniatures. I will tell you now, the neat thing that they're doing at, now I don't know what the list price is. I think these have just been reintroduced and I heard about them, but I didn't understand, I guess, what was going on. They have sets of 4 war bands, it was $85 for each set, which is a lot, for 4 different warbands. And these were one of them. And they included the cards, which I was like, I didn't think they were doing that. I thought that they were using like general cards. I need to actually try to get it or ask them for it. I don't really want to buy all of it again, but I don't know. I do want to know the new play method of these, and I had asked for them, but it's like, I can't keep asking for stuff. It's just too many things, and I don't need them. That's the real crazy stuff. But they do have 4 sets, but the funny thing is in each set there's been one that I already have. They had one faction, warband. They had like these, which are the very first ones I painted. You know, these are great. Is this the main guy? I mean, this one looks really nice. I don't know, this isn't the main guy. The one that I've really paid attention to, I painted it twice. I will finish those because those are Scott's as well. Although I don't know if he wants them back anymore. He gave me everything that he has. He's like, I'm never going to get to this stuff. But anyway, I'm real happy. This color was actually one of the colors I used previously on some of those. I cannot remember the name of those. Are they Sylvines or some? But I like this one. I have the original version of it. It was a technical paint, I believe. Is it right here? I can't find it. And this is the new version that's a contrast paint that came out 2 years ago. And it's basically this color, and I really like it. It looks a lot like the color that they had on the Big Child Creatives that they did. I really like this paint color. I think it's great. So yeah, these are pretty awesome. I'm going to probably do a little bit more detail on them. But what I want to do is their eyes. So was where I was talking about with this was I wanted to use this as the white and see how it works. And I will tell you, the one thing that shocked me was how chalky the paint kind of was when it dried. This is the little wet palette spot that, bubble palette spot that I used to put it into. And but it's good. It dries. I mean, I'm eager to try it as a regular white. I mean, I still love the. I need to get a new bottle of this. This is, as I said, is the first. So here's what I found out about whites. You really got to shake them. The pigment is probably heavier than standard pigment because I think the particles are larger, is what I understand. And boy, oh boy. So I thought they were coagulating, but like when I really shook this transparent white up, it's not really there yet. It was perfectly fine. You just have to shake it a lot. And so I had thinned this one out a little bit, and they already are kind of thin come out of the bottle, but this one's still fine. But it's definitely a little bit more fluid than it used to be. But the reason why I also noticed this is because this bottle here of Artist Ink, which I want to use too, which it probably needs to be shaken again. I think I used it on Tuesday. But I want to use it for the white in the eyes, because what I've been noticing is I can't get the Pro Acryl to lay down smoothly for me, and I'm sure that might just be me using white paint. I've never been a fan of white paint. But I'm now gonna, so I used that on these eyes, and they look pretty good. They're not white. They don't get as bright as I'd like them to be in the center, and they're not as large, but I just was having a heck of a time without destroying, because you know what you do is you paint, if you want them to have like the little bit of an eyeliner kind of effect that's going on, I won't say anything. You put that in first, then you put the white on top of it. And I want them to be a little bit larger, but I don't want to lose the black lines. So I may not be just painting them large enough for the figure. They're not very big on the Drax paint job on the Mini as well anyway. I may go on and do some shading to give it. So one of the things that they do on all of their Minis is essentially have an OSL blue source. I will say, I'll tell you what it says right here. Shake lightly before use. Well, guess what? You got to use it a lot to get that. And I think with the cooler weather, it's in the 40s here at night, which is pretty cool for us. Sometimes lower than that because we do have frost. It does not get that cold inside, but still, it gets cold. And this space is not conditioned unless we're in it. Although I'm not running it now, and because we have air conditioning and heating in here. But I don't, we're in the house all the time. I don't run anything if we're not in there. But I have to shake this a lot, and I'll know when I'm getting there when I can see bubbles. It's starting to see bubbles because it's got the pigment settled on the bottom. And I want to try this. One of the things I think about inks, a lot of people love it as the zenithal. For me, at least with the contrast paints and the army paints, army painter speed paints, they don't tend to settle on it properly for me. I need to do it more because I had that experience of like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. I'll just use the primer that I already have. I wanted to buy both the Vallejo primer, and they do not carry Monument Hobbies paint primers. I don't think at that store. I feel like I've seen that bottle recently, but I don't think so. So now I'm seeing bubbles at the bottom. So it means that the pigment is gone. So you really have to shake it. So I'll probably let it sit for a moment before I try it, but I want to use that. Besides, I have to paint black anyway. I really should use the new palette. But I will probably, well, here's the deal. If I use basically the same methodology that I have been doing with the palettes, because what I've been doing lately, this is the dried sponge. It's very kind of like a weird shape. There's a little color there. Is that paint or mildew? I let this go a little longer. I've usually been doing this every day, and because I've been actually coming out and painting some. I've been trying to paint every day. I have not been able to this week as much as I'd like, but that's been our goal, is to like not be working at night. I have a tendency to just work all day and all night. So it's easy to rehydrate the next day. If you go a long time, it takes a little bit of, I mean, when you first do it, I feel like it's, when you look at the package of this is the new one, so I don't have another one, but it looked like moisture, and I saw somebody else talking about that on another wet palette, the same kind of issue. I'm like, what are they putting in there? Maybe it's some sort of a preservative to protect it while you don't, but before your first use. But anyway, so it takes a little bit of time to get it fully hydrated. But I will tell you, the one treat is this hydrates very quickly now with it being used as it is, and it as you can see, no color has come through the backside, and I'm not exactly certain what kind of finish they have on there. I feel almost like this is a baking parchment-ish, even though it's not that thick of it. Baking parchment is a good wet palette paper. And they got the white brush on there. But see, there's three wet palettes. So I don't know if the small, that looks like the small one. It says it has a phone mount. That's what that was. I forgot about that. Where's it at? I should be able to see it. It's very pink. What do I do with it? Oh, it's over here. I probably wouldn't have picked pink. I do like pink, but I think I would have gone with Ninjon's. I think he was a red, a burgundy, which I like. And I like the blue too. I think that's the standard palette color of theirs, of Game Envy. So yeah, you can put your phone here for reference, which is very cool. It looks like it's saying a meeting. I hope not. Oh, it's the flash flood warning. Anyway. Very cool. We've been able to do a lot of stuff. I'm really happy because I'm painting much, much more often. It's funny, I can't see the weather for tomorrow on this. Oh, there it is now. I guess you get through that warning, and then the warning's still there. So we have rain in the forecast in the morning. Well, that might make things good for tomorrow. Anyway, this is a pretty cool palette. It has like the brush storage. I feel like that's brush storage too. Maybe a knife. Do I have a knife that's not gigantic sitting here? That would probably, this is probably the diameter of a it's a little wider than a Xerox, but let's see. Nope. So probably no knife there. Maybe a knife here? Yeah, you could put a knife here. It's cool. I mean, the whole thing's, I don't know where I got this fitting. I think somebody came over to our house, did work, and left it. But yeah, this seems like a cool palette, and I love this. I mean, this is phenomenal. These things are great, and the great thing about their change of this is the original one was a thicker, like a solid block of silicone. This is a little more easy to pop, but if you're going to pop stuff out, this is the easiest. And as I keep doing it, pieces fly off of it. So you don't want to get it in with your other paints. It's not so bad if you're just brushing stuff on, but with my luck, I tend to see it like, oh, hey, great, right there, a big glob of something, flake of something, essentially. And I try to avoid that. Very cool. Yep, this is neat. And the neat thing about these, not that Turbo Dork needs support, but they were doing this in conjunction with them, and they got money. And the one from Ninjon got money, which is cool. And this looks like it's pretty awesome. So let's try it. I'll give it. I have enough water, I think, on the desk here for the heck of it. Sponge. But I was really hoping to prime today. I could not get to the studio to prime some minis. I really wanted to. That was my goal. I'm going to try to work ahead on primings, because I definitely will go faster if I have stuff primed and ready to roll. And my goal is to spend at least an hour or so in at my hobby desk here, and maybe set up the one. I have a portable, it's over here, I finally found it behind me. One from, gosh, I don't remember the company, but I actually gave Nick Nikki's. But you know, Nikki wasn't painting. I kept trying to get her to do it. And I still think she'd have fun. I was watching a Vincent Venturella video that came out 5 days ago this afternoon, when I had a little bit of time. And holy cow, was it a great video. You should go look at it. He is painting fabric, like a veil over someone's face. It's a model that actually has, of course, the sculpted veil, which you need to make that work. I don't have a piece of paper. It is really great video to go check out. So now I have like 100 sheets of paper. Is that correct? I sure do. I won't need to buy paper for this ever. That's pretty much a lot. Well, it depends. It depends on how often you paint. And this seems to me like it's a size that you could, let's see how wide it is. You could probably cut parchment rolls. Oh wow, it's only 9 inches long. Although it says 234 millimeters by 114. But you could probably cut pieces to work, and parchment's great. That's what I used to use when I just built my own palette. So they used to have these metal, so Nikki was the one who introduced me to it when she was in school. This was in the late 90s, when she started in college. Wow, this is interesting. So it's definitely kind of translucent. Not what I'm used to, because that's more kind of a tissue almost. Vellum is definitely a little thicker than that. Anyway, so we'll see what these guys do here. It's pretty awesome. Where's the little card? I might as well use it. Keep seeing it and barely touching it here. So what I'll probably do is leave this. I will put this in the refrigerator, but I'll leave the little bits of copper in there, little parts, and see how it goes. Okay, so you get the palette wet, the sponge wet. Ugh, I probably should rinse this beforehand. I don't know if I can go away without, I don't know how to actually do, I know how to go pause. I just change cameras and move over there. But I really feel like I should use this wet. So I'm going to pause for a second. Let me put some minis in the shot. You can listen to some music for a few moments. And I'm just going to wet the... Wow, that was a loud buzz. I thought that was all muted and off. I guess notifications aren't off. But yeah, you want to get the sponge wet. Oops, break my phone. I really need some flat surfaces. That was why I wanted the palette to be a little smaller. I just keep crowding it with stuff. Even though I've been actually really good. I changed my little confidence monitor here that I can look at to see if things are in focus. It's in a better angle, pointing at me, and I have room underneath it, but I need to like migrate a few things. But buying this Army Painter War Paints Fanatic 50 bottle set was probably not the best idea, This is definitely more airy than the sponge from the wet grass palette. And who else do I have? I have 2 different wet grass palettes, one from the first wave and then one of the redos, which is I had the big one of the first wave and I'm like, this is too big. Then I got the smaller one and I'm like, this is still a little too big, but for this to work, it needed to be about 2 inches shallower, and that would have been perfectly fine for me, you know, but it's because I got larger ones if I need them. I wonder how good the seal is on this. It does have a gasket of some sort here. Looks like a tube. Interesting. So it'll probably be pretty good. And then this, I need to read about this. I wonder if they have any like instructions. They probably do. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think this is probably some sort of squeegee, the little plastic, the thing that I've lost here all of a sudden. That's hilarious. So let me get these here. I'm going to mute. I'll just be about a minute or 2 away, and I'll be right back. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Here it is. It's a great idea, though. I use little cards, and this is perfect size. So we'll see how it goes. Give me a moment. I will turn off mute so you don't hear the the sink. Wow, that was surprisingly fast. So that sponge is, the less dense sponge is probably better for getting ready. It was really quick. I don't know if this is wet enough for the paper. I don't know if is there direction? Okay, place the on top of the sponge. Let it sit for 40 seconds, it says. This is what I normally get, is lots of curling when I'm doing it. And I will say, is the one treat about the previously used paper that you don't have that problem. Ah, okay, so I don't have enough water in here. That's part of the problem. Put more in. It's actually saying to fill it pretty full, and then drain out the rest. Now, if you leave it and to do this, and it'll curl up and then fall back. So pour out excess water until just a small amount is remaining. How wet do they want this? Fill the wet palette with clean water until the sponge is completely submerged. Okay, so that should be it now, sort of ish. I think I'm on a toothpick, which doesn't help keep it flat. I might also be damming the water on one edge with this. Okay. So I would say that's 40 seconds. It doesn't feel like it is that wet yet. Now, of course, it hasn't really been sitting for very long. So I don't, now it doesn't need to be a ton of water. You do not want it to be, let's just let that sit for a minute. You do not want it to be so wet that it causes paint to flow on the palette. And that is one of the things I have noticed, and I have been actually wetting the palette less, the sponge and the paper, well, the sponge essentially, not as much as I used to because I thought I could stop it, but I feel like some of the paints I use tend to pull up water, hygroscopic or whatever. So let's pour a little bit of that out. That seems good. Wow, it does feel like it's getting moist now, so that's good. And it's here, I'll tell you right now, what I'm very excited about is there's no water on the surface. Usually when I'm doing this, somehow water gets on the surface. Now they give you these two. These are meant to hold it down and reduce mold and mildew. I do not know if that will work. I don't know if I've actually ever really done it, put like a copper wire in the edge of the palette or whatever. But that's kind of exciting. Let's see how it works. I definitely appreciated how quickly the sponge was moist. It feels like, now that one, did that have drag or was that a bit of water? Okay, there you go. Cool. So let's see how that goes. I really don't need it today, but hey, Nikki P. Nikki's watching me. I am using the wet palette. Very exciting. And you know what's cool is this can actually go on camera. Check it out. It's basically the same, almost the same frame size as the camera. Oh, you know what though? That's not correct. Maybe it is if I zoom it in. Let's see. Oh, am I muted still? Oh my gosh. No, I'm not muted. Whew. I've had muting troubles, I'll tell you that. Let's see if it will zoom in to the same size. I bumped it, clearly freaking out about my mute. It'll be close, but you know, I don't really need that. I just like seeing these kind of nerdy things. It's not quite. Our game table is, it was not nerdy. That was not an accident. I asked for it to be that size. I do not remember how it all happened, but they were giving us a table that, it was a situation for like advertising, but it wasn't for game night. It was the very beginning of us doing our show and like within the first year. And I said I would like one this size, and it was the scale of, I sized it for the camera, and you know, it's 16 by 9 essentially. And they had one, and it was, you know, it was a show table. So we've dealt with that. I really like the table a lot, but we've had to deal with like the abuse that I think it had from being assembled and disassembled, which is not ideal. But let's put this to the side. Actually, pretty kind of cool though. I might be able to actually just have the palette on the surface here with my stuff, and I can maybe have that flat space I need for my phone over here on the side. I have some snacks here that don't need to be here. So there you go. It seems like it's pretty level. Feels like it's potential, and the paper is still getting wet because it's starting to stretch, become longer, and that's actually not wonderful for the palette because it's bunching up. But I think I can just lift the weights. I mean, the weights are like an add-on. You don't really need them, and it probably isn't necessary. So I'm going to leave this in here overnight because I think I'm going to have some time to paint tomorrow, so I'm hoping to pull it out. I'll put it in the fridge. I could probably leave it in here because it's pretty chilly if you don't have the heater going. And see how it goes. Now I need black, so let's mix up the black. You know what, I'm not plugged into hear things. That is why things are weird for me. I don't have the audio of me going through my ears. Would be really, Nikki and I have done some streams, especially in the beginning where we had that. We're like, we were going crazy, but it was because we just didn't know the software. I'm kind of excited. They're doing some experiments. Candace tomorrow is going to have a stream. And if you have time to check it out, she's got some guests joining her. It is her, I don't know if her birthday's today, but the stream is tomorrow, but I'm excited to see they're using new software that we use to record other shows. And that is very exciting. If we can simplify the software, maybe we don't need to use this stuff. I really like this stuff that we use. but it is a little frustrating. So right now, the music that I use is a service called Epidemic Sound, and we pay a monthly fee for that. It lets us do this, and it lets us use the music in our In Focus and How to Play videos and our top 10 videos if we do stuff. Nick and Mike use it, and it's pretty great. And but it's very hard to sign into on the app because it won't store our cookies for this, our login. There you go, there's the paint. Not in the shot. I'm gonna have a tiny bit more because I always try to get the last bit off of the top, so I'm not trying to clean up this or letting it dry, which is usually what I do, forget to clean it and let it dry on the top of the bottle. This is a twist tie bottle. This is another top twist top. This is a eyedropper-ish kind of one. It seems to do a good job, but I'll tell you, if you over tighten it, it just pops around, so the threading is weird on it. I change it to this top. I like it. I have 9 more of these that I haven't used yet. I kind of like it more than I like these, but it's still not ideal. To be honest with you, I'm not sure what the best dropper or bottle top is, because I really don't like these. I mean, they're doable and they're wonderful if you're pulling directly out of the pot, but you got to be cautious. I've 3D printed stands for this so that they don't knock down. I've knocked these down. I'm not going to open the lid and try that because that's even taller and more likely to tip. I do have these, and it would be probably pretty safe if I had the top off. But if you use this is Games Workshop makes this, Citadel. It's really hard to knock it down. I'm trying to use it all the time because I have now tipped over bottles 3 times on these and had paint leak on this. I don't even know how there might have been paint in the lid and it drained out, I don't know. Because if you tip it forward, it's designed to like drip back into the bottle. But as you can see, it just gets in the seal, and I don't know. I couldn't believe the red paint. And of course, it's like the worst paint to clean up. It was this ball red, and I wonder even how much I have in here. I still got a lot of paint. It was everywhere, and I was like, oh my gosh. I think I finally got it cleaned up on the palette. Anyway, I'm not going to use that right now. So I'm going to paint the eyes with the black. I'm going to get a little bit of water in here. I do have distilled water in a little dropper bottle on the desktop. Let's see if, yeah, see it? Oh, you can't see it. It makes a little bubble of water that kind of just stays there. And I can use it to both palettes do this really well. And I can use it to hydrate the paint a little bit before I paint. So I'm going to paint with this little tiny brush and see if this is something where it does not hold enough paint. This is called a spotter, yes. And that's the smallest amount of paint. Okay, so this really kind of functions more like a wet palette than I'm used to. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit more like, now I wouldn't want to use this water with any other paint because now it has black in it. And you definitely have issues mixing colors. I don't know that no, there's not distilled water in the palette, although I could put it in there. I'm always in such a rush that I would never do it. But I want to have good enough coverage, but I want it to be smooth flowing. Now, this is the tiniest amount of paint, so I'm not really going to get that much on here. Is that the one that's painted already? Sure doesn't look like it. No, I've already painted that one. Okay, so let me put this on a holder so that maybe I can steady I mean, I have pretty steady hands, but I don't have glasses that I need though. But I still, you have a tendency to shake no matter what. And so you want to buckle your hands to be able to control the movement. I got hair in the way here. I'm trying to use my hair as a paintbrush. I will say it's going in there pretty good. Now this is a paint I love. It is the black from Monument Hobbies, Coal Black. It's funny, I always thought Coal Black was a little bluer. But it is not in this case. I mean, my definition of Coal Black is got a blue quality to it. So what I'm trying to do is, I did a nice job now, I just put a bunch of water in there. I'm trying to get it off of part of the eye you wouldn't even see. So why did I mess with it? Who knows? It looked like an eyelash and that was bothering me. Okay, that pretty much got it. So I'm gonna let that dry and put another drop of black on top of that. Oh, too much water. What am I doing? Maybe I was, because I was cleaning the brush. Okay, let's wick the water out of the brush, pull some paint on the brush, and go for it again. Come on, focus. Wow, what's getting in the way? There we go. It's usually much faster to focus on this camera. So I think I got a little bit on the bottom of his eye, but you have to, I'm going to try to clean it up a bit here, but you kind of have to do that if you want them to be large, because it's a tiny little socket. But I'm going to clean that off the red. So what I usually do is I have a slightly damp toothpick, and I'll just pull the paint off of there. And it does a pretty good job. This paint, for whatever reason, the red actually seems to cover really well too. So it's not like, I was able to cover up some of the blue with the red and it looked fine. You know, boy, I really think I need to put a tie in my hair, which I don't like doing. But yeah, signing into this software signing into Epidemic software has a, it won't save the cookies, and I have to go through all this brain damage to get signed in. They make you do a CAPTCHA, and it is terrible, terrible. I finally got it to work a little better, but we shouldn't have to do it at all. But they haven't updated whatever that component, like they have their own version of Chrome running in there, and it's older, you know, because they don't update it as often as Chrome does. And we don't save the project. We just, I mean, sometimes you do, but most of the time I don't, because I'm not changing anything. Maybe I should try to, once I log in, save the, just got it on his eye. Let's just clean that up. Although he could have a little black teardrop. That's probably black enough. Let's see. This is a nice palette. Very nice. There's what I'm saying, where it looks kind of like what I'm used to. Ugh, I'm coming at the wrong angle. So I'm touching the bottom of the eye. These are pretty deep sockets. It's a little deeper than I'm used to dealing, because it's doing essentially one of his tattoos or whatever. Maybe they're skin markings, as far as I know. And they're pretty raised up, so I probably should be coming in from the side. At the nose probably is the best place. I think I touched it anyway. Okay, but I wanted this to be smooth and thin, I'll tell you that, because I want the white to lay flat. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's do the other one. Did I paint the stripe on all of these? I did. It's not really a stripe. I decided to paint the seam with something they did, and they did an orange highlight on the edge, and I might try to do that. Oh, another thing I need to do is his mouth. Well, I actually didn't paint it white yet, so I can't do the black line. That one I did, because that was actually harder. So neither of these have been painted. Do you guys have artist backgrounds? Nikki is an illustrator. She studied illustration at Art Center. I was a design major, and prior to getting into college, did lots of fine art painting, although I will tell you, I became the airbrush guy basically in my junior and senior years because my parents gave me an airbrush, and I had decided to actually try using it for fine art and not model painting, and I really loved it. And I won an award for one of those paintings that was really cool. And then when I was in art, I studied architecture. And when I was in architecture class, we did some art kind of designy stuff. And I had a fantastic time doing a sundial. They gave us a project, the whole class, to make a working sundial. And I almost blurted out my idea in class. I don't even know what I can't even remember what stopped me from doing it. Like, did I think, oh, am I blurting it out? But I had like in my mind, the ideal solution to set it up where you need it to be level. So I was like, well, if you put a bowl of water, it should self-level. But I actually came up with a better solution in the process. I just filled it with marbles. I put blue marbles, clear blue marbles, like teal color, in the bowl, and then you just rotate it, and it self-leveled so that you would get it to a level and it would stay. And I also then figured out how to make it so you knew it was level. So there's a thing called, the sundial has a blade that helps you tell the time, and that's called a gnomon, and it's got an angle. And so I designed my gnomon. First, I did it out of acrylic, red acrylic plexiglass. It was real great looking. And then I made a plumb bob out of as balanced as I could get, triangular plumb bob, which was, I got to tell you, it was pretty amazingly done. I don't even know how I did it back then without all the kind of tools you have nowadays. In the 20 years since I did that, 25 years. I was also going to make it a compass so that one end would have a magnet, and I just ran out of time. So what I did is I went in. I mean, I was kind of late to classes. I wasn't always late, but for whatever reason, I was late sometimes, like when it was a big deal. I don't know if I thought I would be making a big entrance, but I don't think that's what my actual motive was. But I came in. We were doing it outside, of course. How else would you test a sundial? And I laid it on the ground and took a compass, rotated the gnomon so that it pointed north, and then used the plumb bob to get it level. And I had it on a hillside, and I was done. And there were other people like shoving matchbooks under the corners of their cat tables and stuff. It was, I mean, there was some really fun designs, but mine was like, I think, the most practical as far as to get things done quickly. And so it was amazing, and I was really happy with the end result. And everybody was looking at it, so I feel like I had some success. It was really awesome. It was really a fun experiment, and I still have it around. I actually spent more time doing the indexes for the time. I purchased, so I found an amazing acrylic shop here in, my dad actually knew where it was at, in North Hollywood. And I went and bought a clear plastic bowl that they had made, a half bowl. And then I also found little cabochon, acrylic plastic cabochons, which are little hemispheres that were clear. And so I was able to paint on the back side of them what they call an intaglio kind of a process. I painted these like stylistic numbers, which were way out of my normal realm of type of work. I was Mr. Graphic. But they turned out neat. And wow, I put all that black paint for nothing. Actually, I'll probably paint some bases here since I got enough paint. It's not really that much black paint. And so it was awesome. Nikki had, when she was in school, so I was with her when she was in her, when she started going to art center and stuff. And she had some crazy stuff, you know. The art center is like a lot of disciplines. So she was doing that, but they had her doing some graphic work as well. And she made a really amazing palette. Not palette. Amazing. She had a teacher that was teaching her perspective, and he had them do a, which I helped her design, portfolio that was just amazing. Definitely more my technique. You know, I'm much more razor blades and straight edges and stuff like that. but it was really awesome, and it was really, she had some great stuff. We have one of her paintings in the, when you come in, it's truly probably my favorite piece. It's one of my favorite pieces of her work. It's just, and it's an illustration. It's not more graphic that she kind of leaned towards later, but I really love that painting. We had a friend offer her money for it. I'm like, I can't let you sell it. But it was great. And I could understand why that person would want to buy it. It was awesome. So I went to UCLA and Nikki went to Art Center. I was a year behind Dave. I never met Dave till after. I was at least a year behind Dave. I might have been 2 years behind Dave. Can't remember. And I really liked Art Center. It was awesome. I mean, I said Art Center, and I did go to Art Center as well. I went during their high school program, so they had a weekend high school. I was crazy. I did lots of schoolwork out of school year. So I went to UCLA as a sophomore in the summer of my sophomore year, I think. Went to UCLA to study math. I was going to be an engineer. Went to study math, and it was great. I got ahead. So I had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of my sophomore year where I didn't get geometry. Is that right? I think it was geometry that I had issues with. And, but I think I got it by the end, and I guess I took some aptitude tests, and I was testing really high. So they're like, he's not where he should be. He's not getting something. So they said, do you want to go to UCLA and study calculus at that time, which was weird. Calculus and enhanced algebra, and then calculus, I think is what it was. And so I went, and it was, wow, that's kind of weird. I don't know if I have this bottle closed properly. But I went and had a great time, and I ended up being a tutor.
I'm having trouble understanding
wow.
you now. For help,
that is the loudest I've ever heard that, and I don't believe I said that, but anyway, I won't say that again. But my teacher was fantastic. She was friends with the teacher that I had, so they obviously felt I was underperforming, and they sent me to the school, to UCLA, and I went 2 summers, and I was actually tutoring algebra and geometry, which was hilarious because I was not good in it when I did it, and then I was tutoring for algebra as well and pre-calculus at the time. And then when I got to my pre-calculus class, things kind of fell apart. Not that I couldn't understand, but I did not like that teacher, poor guy. But that wasn't why I stopped. I was still going to do engineering, but my dad talked to me. He said, look, you're a design guy. That's what you should be doing. At a minimum, you should be doing design or architecture. And so I thought about it seriously, and I was already accepted to UCLA as an engineer, and I went and had an interview with counseling and said that I intended to change to design, and they were all for it. My counselor was great, and it was strange because I was definitely kind of alone. There wasn't as many guys in design there, and I had the intention to study architecture there. I ended up studying architecture elsewhere, but I really liked UCLA too. It was awesome. Neat, interesting time to be down there. Okay, I don't have it on the I don't know. I'm wondering if I should be using this. Because I was using it kind of religiously the other day, using this, and it seemed to be helping me. But it shouldn't be, because I'll tell you, I can't really stabilize. I think really part of the issue is I'm trying to get it in there where that's not enough paint. No, I didn't wet this at all, and this is not sticking. This might not be wet enough. Do I want to use that? I don't really using the water with a little bit of black on the white, because pure white is really not great for me. Let me see how this looks. pretty good. Every time I do this, I think of Nick Murphy's short, which you should go check out on YouTube, of painting eyes, because it is 100% the truth. And it's particularly on paint streams. This is like the best one I've ever done on a paint stream. It's not perfect though. Well, it never would be perfect, but it's not exactly the way I want it to look. But here's the deal. It kind of looks like he has a lid going over part of it. So I'm going to just go with that because it's, even though Drax in the movies doesn't have this kind of eye, this is what they have on the, it's like white eyes on the painting from Big Child Creatives. They're great. So this is sort of working out better. Although I am, I'm using a spotter, which is, I'm doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing with this. Probably more precise than you really should be, but. Yeah, we had some neat projects. It was my first year of architecture, and that was not, the other one was a later one, but we had a project where we had to do research, which was kind of like baby internet, on a house designed by Le Corbusier in Paris, or outside of Paris. Ugh, do not make a mess. So I'm not going in there with a wet brush. I'm going to go in there with my toothpick. Try to get, I got a little white drop on his eye. Oh, it's on the top too, so I don't have to be as particular. And I could probably touch it up with some red if I don't get it really well done. Anyway, so we had to do the research on that house, and it was hard. I think I finally found the information I needed via the school library of a book that had a plan of the house. And so I was able to extrapolate the size of the building, and maybe this is the point of the whole class, the size, because there was like no scale drawing that I could find. There might have been something somewhere, but not easily accessible. And I would extrapolate the size of the house and built the model. And it turned out really cool. And it was kind of like a bit of my graphic / any kind of models I ever made of architectural models are a little bit more graphically oriented. That's pretty good. I'll say that's probably the best one I've ever done on a paint stream. So I'll call that a win. Let's see if we can do the other one. Yeah, this one's a little harder to actually get it to stick to it because it's mostly recessed because of it's like the most deep one I've ever handled, I think. Let me actually make this stickier so it'll work. Teachers are awesome, Cardboard Conjurer. I almost always had great teachers, and I said something kind of negative about that teacher. I had that teacher for 2 classes in my junior year, I think. And he was great in the class that was a larger class. It was the smaller class, and there were just sides to him that bothered me even then, like sexist and racist comments that bothered me. I had tons of friends that were Vietnamese and things like that, and I just think he was trying to be funny, and it bothered me. And he did not do that stuff in the other class, the science class that I had him for. And it just turned me off. And it was a real downer because the guy seemed to be pretty good. And I will tell you this, he graded me based on what he thought I could do. Where I wasn't, it was like the first time I ever ditched class in the entirety of my going to school. And I just didn't like being in there. And it was bad. Now, I wasn't constantly gone or something like that, but like if I felt like I had something better to do, I was in a different grade kind of mentally. So I started school in Colorado, so they had a different cutoff point. So I was slightly older. Well, that's already been painted. I was slightly older than most of my students, and it might have been just the way my school year ended up. Wow, that really, once you warm that up, it's pretty great and sticky. So I was able to excuse myself at that point in time, and I basically did. So like, my father helped to do some stuff at that school at one point, an event, and I helped him with that. And I shouldn't have been, I should have been in class. I'm sure my dad was happy, but for me to help him. But the reality is, if he'd known I was kind of really ditching class, he probably wouldn't have been too happy about it. I don't know what he would have thought, though. Like, how could I be doing that? But anyway, can't ask him. But yeah, that guy was weird. And I mean, as far as that goes, and I did not like it. I can't even remember exactly what he had done or said, but it was kind of gross. He was basically, I know one thing he did. One thing he did was basically doing the bit from, which I love the movie, by the way, but it is really politically incorrect, and that's the point of it. But it was in Blazing Saddles. Harvey Korman's character is like fondling a statue or something, like the breasts of a statue. And I did, well, that's funny in a movie, different context. It really bothered me in class. And then, this is pre all of that kind of stuff where people really started to, but clearly it wasn't. I mean, I was aware of it and didn't like it. So, but I don't remember what he said about they were all my classmates and friends. I don't remember what it was, but it really bugged me. And I don't think I'd have turned him in if I, knew anything like that. But I might have said something to him if I was more mature, But he was the only one. And as I said, he was a good guy, I felt, in the other classes. I just think he had a smaller group of supposedly smarter kids that he thought he could be cool with or something. I don't know. And it just didn't work. And that wasn't the only sexist thing, but that was like the very vivid one I remember. And I totally knew the reference because I was a huge comedy fan. But not appropriate. But I had some other great, phenomenal teachers. I had a great English teacher. So when I came to high school, we actually had two feeder schools. One was a junior high and one was a middle school. And I was in the middle school. And I got to tell you, that was terrible. Because that was basically, so I went from one school that had a program where we were on our own, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, on our own, where you basically studied and did what you wanted to do. It was a new kind of a program. And hilariously, the one thing I wanted to, and I bet you this is what contributed to it. I did really well in the math, but I kind of just studied, but not project, like did the actual work. But it was way beyond, what I was doing was I was kind of like prepared for deeper work than that. And so the way it worked is you would test. And I tested and passed it. That's all that they really cared about. I don't even know if they had grades or whatever. I don't know what the end result was. Was far too young to know what that was. It was not a great situation for kids because we were in the general population with the other people and everybody knew what our group was. Had a dumb name that everybody made fun of. And it was fine. I mean, I liked being in that class. It was really awesome. A lot of creative stuff in there. That was probably some of my initial creative work. But I don't know that I'm, at that time anyway, was great to be. I mean, maybe it's built my foundations of like trying to get work done. Because I generally don't like things sitting undone. Who knows? That's okay. This one I was doing was one I was originally doing. I need to get back to it. But anyway, so when I got to when I went from middle school to high school, it felt like elementary school. Middle school felt like elementary school. So I didn't have writing essentials together. I had no idea literally how to write an essay. They didn't require that of us, and I don't know if that was. I don't know what the system. Both schools were in the same school district. I just don't understand it. And so I had struggled in my first English class in high school because I was placed in an honors program, but I was behind everybody else, and the teacher just didn't know how to handle me, I guess. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe they thought I knew it and I was just terrible. But I had, I remember what happened. They sent me to so that next year, they sent me to the next level down, which was, of course, I learned how to write an essay, and then I was like beyond everybody else because my comprehension and my reading and all that stuff was way higher. And so then they put me back in honors classes for the next year. Gosh, that doesn't seem like that was the case. Maybe it was half of the year because I was definitely flying by the time I knew what I was doing, and I really wished I had the ability and the sense to ask for that stuff, because I really didn't know. It was dumb. But you know how it goes. Wow, Ringling School of Art and Design, neat. Yeah, Nikki's a great artist. I'm okay. I'm a graphic guy, and I'm only okay. I didn't keep it up because I've started doing. I have a okay eye, I assume, but I went on to actually work in architecture, and so I wasn't quite as at that level. That I didn't stay at that level, even though I loved doing that. And so I mentioned it before when I was doing this. I, at one point, really tried to I was trying to replicate, I had like all these kind of like prior to digital, which would make you do, let you do iterations and replication all you want. I was doing things specifically to replicate. I did a paint series where I was trying to do 2 identical paintings, and with some variants, but it was not easy, and I'm not sure where I left off, but I did not finish those. Those were when I was in college. And those were, I think, really, I believe, those, oh man, what a mess. Too wet. Those were me doing them on the side, experiments, not part of my, and that's probably the biggest mistake, not part of my classwork because I was too busy with other things in school. But it was interesting. It was really fun. I liked what you could do with Airbrush, and so I was like, wonder if I can replicate that. And I was using masks, Frisket, and it was interesting. It's hard to do because I didn't have like, now you could get a Cricut cutter or a, what's the other brand? Silhouette or a Roland, and cut an amazing Frisket with that. But I had to do it by like tracing paper and cutting it by hand, and I was happy with all that stuff. It looked great. I had no knowledge of any of those other things. A lot of that didn't exist, and it was really awesome. It was cool. I had a lot of great teachers. My architecture teacher was great. One of them, he hired me to work while I was still in school. And that was awesome. So basically what I should be doing is painting the black first for the gap in his teeth and then the white. Whatever. He has, we did it on the line the other day, Famously large turds or whatever. Drax. Hey, cardboard contour. Yeah, you always do remember them. A bad teacher is a waste of opportunity. It's true. And I mean, he was not a terrible teacher. It was just not ideal. And, I mean, what was that class? I don't remember what the science class was. I feel like it had to be a physics class, but I don't remember him as the teacher. So I might be wrong. I don't know what an advanced science class would have been at that point in time. I don't think they had maybe they had an honors program and I just didn't know about it. That could have been the case. It was mostly honors math and English that was out there that I recall. I will tell you, I may be still blocking it, but I can actually really see the confidence monitor of the down cam very quickly and see that things are in focus. Although it's not really in focus, it's there. But I can see quickly, it's way better. It's about 4 inches higher than it was before. I need to figure out how I'm going to do these blades. Those look fine. They're a little bit smaller than the painting. Let me look at them all. This one looks a little too small. These are the first ones I painted, and they are better. Now, as I said, I did those with... Oh, you know what? I'm doing this with the paint. I meant to do this with the acrylic ink. Bummer. Don't need it now. I had studied... I studied everything. I really liked school. If I could, I still would go to school. I just don't have the time anymore. I actually went to community college for a while, too, just to learn more things. I really wanted to learn... One thing I never did, and I talked about doing with a friend, was welding. I would love to know how to weld. I'm sure... I have a friend that could do it, and I talked about it, but at that point I was already like, I'm investing... I don't need to invest more time in another thing that I don't have time for. But I sure wish I'd done it. I would have loved to have done some of that. Nikki did stained glass work, and she's done all kinds of great stuff. She's actually working on projects for like Etsy that she wants to do. She's been kind of doing it for a little while, but it's pretty awesome. And I hope they, yep, investing in yourself for sure. I like learning. Now I'd be the weird old guy in school, so probably not so into that. But, actually the welding class was not at the community college. That was at... So I would probably blend right in. That was at an occupational center. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that too. I went to so many classes. There was a place down when I grew up in the South Bay that was an occupational class thing that I took. And I think that was more maybe geared to kids that might be going into trades. I don't know, but I took that too. Gosh, I forgot about that. I just love school. It's always been great. I don't know how great I'd be with it now. I get up and I'm on time, so I could probably pull it off. But that's funny. So I got a little white dot on his arm, and maybe a little bit more than that. I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to put a little bit on, just at the full power, meaning it's not diluted at all, or not diluted, but intensity lessened with the contrast medium. Wow, there's water there. That's bad. Could be bad. Is that wet? Yep, too wet. It wouldn't have mattered because I'm actually basically glazing at this point, but it's too wet. Yeah, I went to Art Center for 2, those were during the school year. So I think for at least a year and a half. I actually wanted somebody else to go because I was like, I kind of got everything that these guys need. You know, I think I studied package design was one thing when I was there. They had some really great programs. And it really kind of had me wanting to go there, but I had already, at that time, they weren't engineering, obviously, and so I had gone to UCLA. And so it was pretty much too late for me to go there. And that might have been, I mean, you could go and then go on to architecture from there. But in the end, I probably would have liked to have done something else. I don't know. I was more of an industrial design guy anyway. There we go. So I just touched it up. Hey, there's a little bit of red there too. Let's see if we can cover that up. Probably not. So let's put a little white. Tiny bit of white on there to lessen the intensity of that. Because it's kind of like right up where you'll see it. So there's some other red on there. Tiny, tiny bit there. Let's do that because it looks like it's overflow that didn't quite cover up. So you just want it to like cover up the red. Now, this is a different paint, so I'm not certain. Now, I've used Vallejo's before, the previous formulation. There was a 90-year-old in my state college classes when I was in my early 20s. No clocks on knowledge. That's true. I was never, I mean, I had a student that was, when I was in my early 20s, who, what was she doing? But she was studying a class, and she was in, and she teased my, she was, I don't know if she knew it was my parents or not, but she was saying what I was a brat. But she was my friend, and we got along really well. And I was a brat at some, you know, gallery thing that we did. But that was at community college. So it's covering up pretty well. And you don't see the red at all. Looks like I don't have enough. Ooh, don't touch that up with that. That's the blue. I don't think I have enough red on this armband. Or what? It's actually not an armband. It's the, I think it's his skin markings or tattoos. I don't know what Drax's story is. Cool. Got hair in my mouth. I need to figure out how I'm going to do these blades. I had like little red markings on there that I thought I was, I'm not putting that stuff on there. Although I did get, I think, messed up there and got some on the blades. So this I might just try to make a gray. And touch that up because it's not going to match though. I just got busy, you know, ultimately. That was really what it is. I met Nikki and finished up school and got working. I also worked all the way through school, pretty much. I had jobs and I liked working. I like being around people. Hey, his boots are not done. His boots that are not made for walking at this point in time. So I need to do those. And that means I'm going to make some of the paint that I might use. So I will use, this is going to be the wet palette, or not the wet palette, but the, although I do have, and it looks pretty good. This may be actually better, although I wonder if it's staining. Sure looks like it's getting under the paper. Let's lift it up and see here, just this peek. That's unfortunate if that's the case. Nope, it's not going through. I don't, you know, the sponges get wet coloring them all the time anyway. It's not really that big of a deal. But I try not to have too much because it, if I'm blending on the palette, it does tint the color, so you're not really sure what you've got. And my old palette from, I had a palette from, it's around here somewhere. So I was saying I made my own. Nikki was the one that taught me. So it was one of those deli trays maybe. They're white metal porcelain with a little blue lip. And I made a wet palette with that. She showed me how to do it. And then I used like the heaviest cellophane I could get my hands on, and then just sealed it with that. Now there was no breathing, although there probably was a little bit, you might have some little crinkles or something. I generally try to stretch it tight on the paper. And she was doing it, I think, for oil paints as well, because you can do that. Like some of these wet palettes have pieces of, like the red grass ones have a piece of glass that you can get, so you can actually put your oil paints in there. So I don't know. Let me clean this a little bit here. It's so cool though nowadays. Here's the thing I think that's most wonderful is you could pretty much, well, first of all, that was what we were talking with my friends about my friend's daughter and like what she wants to do. I didn't talk to her about it. Let her figure that out without me butting in. But my friend was like, he didn't know she wasn't sure what she wanted to do, and you kind of need to know. And I think you need to have some experience with these things to really determine what you want to do. And the unfortunate thing is there's no real great way to do that. What is this? Where's the black? Or the basilicanum gray? Ugh, I got things blocking stuff here that I shouldn't have. But yeah, it's, you could do trade schools. I think trade schools are actually a pretty great idea. I don't know if they really do a lot of those anymore, or apprenticeships. I think in anything. Like, I have a lot of friends that who are medically trained and not doing it for various reasons. And one friend who became a full-time head nurse, and so she developed that interest. Oh, there's the basilicanum gray. I was looking at the Black Templar. But yeah, and that was a little bit later in life that she discovered that, not too much after, too far into her 20s. But sometimes that's not for people, just, like dealing with long-term care and things like that, or just, I don't know. I can't speak for other people because it's, you might know some, but things just weren't working for them in that regard. And it's a lot of an investment in time and money to not know what you want to do when you're done. And I honestly feel we all kind of just generally, unless you're really lucky and get what you want to do, you kind of just go through different phases of careers. Wow, why do I have this bottle? I barely use this bottle. Doesn't smell, well, it's a little smelly. I'm going to throw that out. This is an old wash. Like, it evaporated a tremendous amount inside this bottle. Ugh, that does smell kind of bad. Let's look at some of these other ones. This one still has it. So I must use the black more than I use the others because this still has color in it. But these are made in China. This is when they were experimenting with manufacturing in China. I don't know. Are they tested? Conforms to, so maybe. But these are old. And they were washes, not inks. Their original ones were inks. I wish I had some of those. I really like their inks. So they're still here. I must have used the black. Sepia. Leviathan purple. Interesting. Okay, what time is it? I've been functioning without paying attention to anything like that. 7:47. It's getting close. I was sure I would hear. Gonna do the boots. So, got the paint, it's mixed up. Start with the contrast medium. I am running out. I did put mixing balls in this one this time because I feel like it needs, yeah, reinventing yourself is the greatest freedom. It is true. If you're capable, it's nice if you can move into another direction once you are doing something, or you find something else that's interesting to you. I don't, I definitely changed gears when I started working full-time for BGG. And that was fun. I mean, it's hard, it's work. We are trying to do good stuff, and it's definitely a challenge. But it's good. I mean, oops, just knocked Drax down. But it's curiosity, I think, is one thing that's really great. Helps you move around and figure things to do. Plus, I'm open to anything. I've worked on so many different things just voluntarily, and I mean, when I was I might have been still in high school. I really feel like I was. My brother and I participated in a student film where we were acting in it and helping with it. I was helping. I don't know that my brother did all that, but it was great. It was really fun. Although I got choked out with our improvised hanging rig. I mean, it was just, I passed out. It was like one of those stupid things. Woke up. But it was fun. It was really cool. I was with, college kids, so it was really exciting. So yeah, I was definitely in high school. And I didn't really have the bug necessarily. I mean, I loved movies. I mean, that was my other hobby, was going to the movies back, when they weren't, theaters were still kind of happening. It's kind of a bummer nowadays because I still love going to the movies, but it's not as enjoyable as it used to be. I read an article maybe in the New York Times that was talking about people laughing in the theater. Now, that's not my experience. I don't go to lots of scary movies, though. So that was what I think people were like, that they felt were like not necessarily appropriate, but understandable reactions. But it's just the noise level in theaters. Nikki and I we haven't gone to the movies in over a year, I think. I mean, we were kind of early back in during the pandemic. We went to go see, I think, maybe the first movie we saw during, it's 2021, I believe, was the Black Widow at the Chinese. Took my mom. And, it was a weird day. But anyway, we went to an early viewing and it wasn't as crowded, and that's what we used to do we really liked to go to the Chinese and see the 3D versions of the movies. We got into that sort of probably late. As a matter of fact, really kind of late, because the first movie I saw other movies in 3D, but the first one that opened my eyes to it, because we saw Avatar in 2009 in the theater with 3D, and it was hard to see. We did not go to we went to an IMAX theater, but we didn't go to I think a premium one, even though I know that they have their calibration stuff and everything. Yeah, see, this is what happens when you go over it. It was already starting to form a film, and it looked bad, and I just tore it. You got to be careful. But it was an area that was too wet, and so you got to be careful to wick that stuff before it starts to dry. Anyway, I was able to fix it. I think it'll be fine. But I went to see Avatar, and I saw, in that same time frame, I saw Monsters vs. Aliens, and I was like, oh, wow, I just covered those laces, and they're not supposed to be. As a matter of fact, these were not painted, so I can touch them up and paint them red, or the straps. But I saw that in IMAX as well. 3D, and it was better. Like, it was brighter, so I could see things, and it was ridiculously amazing. So I was like, oh, animation is the best way to see 3D. I think Nikki and I went to see Toy Story 3 3D animation around that time. Maybe that was 2010. But I went to go see Force Awakens with Rusty. He had tickets for the Chinese, and he used to be participating in the charity waits for those things. And he said he wasn't going to do it, but he ended up doing it. Some going down there and waiting in line and hanging out with everybody. And so he had the opportunity to buy tickets for that first night before it really kind of went into the theaters. You know how they do that now, where it's the evening before. And so he had a friend that wasn't going to make it, so he asked if I wanted to go, and I didn't want to go without Nikki, and she's like, no, go, we'll go see it. So I went to see it in 3D, and I was blown away because that was my other thing. I was snobby. I felt it needed to be made in 3D. But that one was converted, and the big differentiation, I'm sure at that time, that was 6 years in, so we're something like Clash of the Titans, where people were complaining about that, where it was the beginning of like conversions, and it was done in a hurry. They looked amazing, and I was knocked out, and we went to go. I had to keep my mouth shut because I didn't want to spoil it for Nikki. But we went to go see it again about a week later, or I went to go see it again with her about a week later, and then she was like, had the exact same reaction I had. I finally live within walking distance from theaters. That's great. Where do you live, Cardboard Conjure? We have an okay theater, not within walking distance. But it's a pretty good theater, and it's been the one we've been going to. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, the last movie we probably saw was Indiana Jones. And we didn't see it immediately because we had heard the negative comments. But we were like, let's go. We saw it at the local theater, and it was fine. But the viewing that we had before that, the last 3D thing we went to go see in a theater, I believe, was the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and they did not care. Newish theater, didn't care, gave us the wrong glasses. We're like, what's wrong with this movie? And then finally I realized, like I turned the glasses around or something like that, and realized, oh, these lenses are the wrong polarity. These are for another type of 3D. Because we were going to see IMAX 3D, and I went and complained and got new glasses, but the guy could care less. And it was like, oh, great. $20-something. Oh, you're in LA as well. We 20-some dollars to see the movie, and they could care less about the quality. So that was a total bummer. And wow, it seems like I touched that again. Did I just do that? Because I was looking at that wet spot on it. I must have touched it while trying to do something else. Do I have a black spot on my fingers? No. Who knows? But yeah, it's a bummer because I really loved going to the movies. It was like a weekly thing. I would go probably Fridays and Saturdays, and sometimes during the week. When I was in college at UCLA, that used to be a great place to go see movies. And I mean, it still is. I'm sure there's still great theaters there, but most of the stuff is falling apart down there. And going to the movies in general is not great. And so I stopped really going then for a while, but not so much so after I got out of there. And Nikki and I liked it, and we used to still go quite often. But now, once a year, come on. That's really kind of depressing. And I really like going to the movies, so we need to do something about that. What theaters are you near to, Cardboard Conjurer? Okay, those look pretty good. Let me get the other brush, the one that has the curl. Why am I not seeing it? There it is. We love the Chinese. It's not close to us, And we loved it when they were running like the 3D all the time. I don't even think they're going to have, I should look, because it's already running today, the Captain America Brave New World. I'm sad I heard that they don't even put Captain America in the title on in the theater. It just says Brave New World. Because, I mean, come on. Anthony Mackie is Captain America. Let's give him a chance here. I think he's going to do a good job. I don't know that the movie's going to be good, but I'm willing to see it. That is not dark enough. Oh, the Vista. My brother lived over there in Los Feliz, and we used to go to Vista. I don't remember when they moved out of there, but we stopped going to, well, we just didn't see any movies there, I think. But we went to go see, 21 years ago, went to go see Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think that's the last thing we saw at the Vista. And I like that theater. I have not, it had been remodeled, but it was prior to Tarantino buying it. That would be fun to go there. The downer is the Cinerama Dome is down still. I think somebody's in the works to be buying that. But yeah, I have a friend that works. So Dave has a friend that works at the Academy Theater, and well, he works for the Academy, and it's supposed to be fantastic. I love that they have that. I bet you the Directors Guild is pretty amazing as well. Let me see if I do have an orange. Let's try that one. It's really, oh. Hey, that's Call Mom. Snooze it. Any of those kind of industry theaters have got to be pretty fantastic. And I bet you the IMAX at the AMC at Universal, which used to be, gosh, I haven't been there in forever. I think the last time I saw something there was like 21 years ago, because we went to see with friends. No, not 21 years ago, 19 years ago. Went to go see Superman Returns, which was the and it was also a 3D experience. They had like put on glasses moments, and it was a nice theater there too. But I mean, they've changed things and upgraded it. But yeah, Dave's friend is a script writer too, and he's written some cool stuff. I have not been to the Egyptian recently since Netflix did the restoration. I'd like to go there. There was some festival they were doing, not the TCM thing, that is either coming up or is happening, which seemed interesting, but there's no way I would go to that. But I would like to see a film there. The last thing I saw there was like a Mario Bava evening. And that would be fun. Especially now that like the technology is even more insanely great. It used to be it was kind of like an anomaly for a theater to have really great audio and projection, and now, not that everything has it, but there's a lot more. And I appreciate that more. That's why I'm so particular about the stuff at the house. You know, like I want things to look strong. You know what I mean? I want them to have the almost cinematic quality. I don't expect to have that level because we don't have the money or the space to do something that insane, but I need to cut off the beginning of the game night at the beginning of this, since I was without audio. Typical. I really need a checklist. We have a checklist to film because of for that very reason, like things that get overlooked. We were doing that, but Mike was the one that really was like, "Oh, you need to have this on there, and you need to have that on there." And he's right. There were so many elements, and he made the checklist. I think he's revised it several times, but we need a new one. Actually, we've added more things to worry about. I think that the Citadel paints aren't bad. I mean, I don't have all the colors, but this is one of the colors that I do have that I bought semi-recently, and I like it. I think it's a good color. I'm noticing, though, that there's overflow of red here that I didn't catch. Yeah, the Vista's awesome. That was awesome then, but it was kind of just a black box. I don't know what they've done now, but I love it when they restore them. Like, I remember when I was I think it was at UCLA still, they had the crest that was actually restored by Disney and Pacific Theaters. That was, I mean, that's in LA, the one that is the famous one that they've done is the El Capitan, which is still pretty great. And I haven't been to that one for a little while. So the paper's starting to come up there where I was mixing a bunch there. I wonder if that's an issue. It's almost, oops, can't see it, I'm sorry. It's almost the same grayscale quality, so a little bit of the blue on there won't be a problem. Do I have a problem with that though? Where is it at? Did I put it away? I did. That was the, the holdovers. Oh yeah, New Beverly. I've been to the New Beverly since he's owned that theater. It was kind of smelly when I was there the last time, but although so was the Chinese. We went to go see Black Widow. We've seen many others since then. It was musty smelling, and that was, we think, because it just had been unused for over a year. You know, that was not the first movie that came back, but it was early in the screenings. You know, that is probably the reason why we stopped really going as much. It's just the pandemic, that silliness. I mean, I don't think it was silly to worry about that stuff, but I think it was a little bit, wish we knew more what was going on when it happened, because, gosh, we had friends that bubbled, which we didn't even understand, really, at the time. And, well, it was just because we didn't know the situation. And I wish we'd bubbled. It would have been way better. Because we had my mom around once I felt comfortable, because it was that first few months I was like, Mom, I don't know if I'm sick. I don't feel bad, but we don't know what the heck's going on. And it was the whole asymptomatic thing that scared me. And once we got tested, I was comfortable having my mom around. But we had her actually around a little bit prior to that with just wearing masks, which were hard to get at the time even. Okay, well, I can report no musty smell on my visit. Fantastic. That was a while ago. And I don't remember, gosh, I don't remember what the last thing I saw at the New Beverly was. It might have been an Edgar Wright thing when he was doing the series, which was awesome, by the way. I think I went after that though. Yeah, we need to go though. It's a little frustrating. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop open the little vent, the small one, let it just do its thing, and put it in the fridge and see what happens. Grand experiment. see here. Very cool though. Looks like a nice palette. These are not terribly expensive as well, and it's pretty intricate design. Way more. I mean, here's the red grass palette. It's a bottom tray, which is very nice. It's a very hard resiny plastic. It's not resin, I don't think. It does not have a type. Designed by Redgrass in Switzerland. I really love their lamp too, but gosh, it's expensive. And I think this Lucent lamp is pretty great from Game Envy. And for the money, it's ridiculous. But the seal's pretty great on this. And it just, the problem is no vent. And I was wondering if that was my issue because I had it in the fridge. Although, gosh, it looks like that's a vent right there. Maybe it's just a mold thingy. Let's see here. Mold as in plastic mold. Nope, does not look like it's a vent. But it sure looks like it could be right here. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the follow, Goat314. Our greatest of all time, 314. So yeah, I mean, I like this palette. It's just a little big, and it doesn't have any kind of like the storage stuff. And the vent is really the other thing that sold me on this one. So I was like, let's just try it. I'm always into, I don't love to, I'm trying not to spend so much. I think this must have been a freebie, a little paintbrush rest, which I actually should be using. But I will do that. I'll put it out here. I really like his stuff. I should try to get him to, no, it's fine. I don't mind buying stuff. I really like it. Cool. Well, let me cut back to the other camera. Nope, not in the right window. So again, somebody will, there'll be a stream. I think it's at 1 o'clock our time. Let me look it up real quick so you know. Candace is going to be having a trick-taking stream. Hey, call my mom. Where is this? You know what? It's in an invitation. Let me look at my calendar. Costco is not what I wanted to look at. There we go. Hey, it's my friend's birthday tomorrow too. Wow, it does not say. Oh, it does say. It's 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. So it's going to be like an hour and a half stream for Valentine's Day. She's calling it Trick-tacuary V-Day live stream. So it's going to be on YouTube and Twitch, I believe. They were working on figuring that out, which is very exciting. And that'll run for an hour and a half. And if you have time to check it out, please do. I'm going to either join in or check it out. I think I'll be checking it out because I think we'll be having lunch before Nikki goes and helps her mom. So everybody have a great weekend. Have a fun Valentine's Day. I hope you do something fun with your significant other. And I will be back on Tuesday morning doing a paint stream, and hopefully I will have some Prime Minis. I already have some Prime Minis here, but I'm really focusing on ones that I want to give to my friend in April and be done with Wave 1 would be fantastic, meaning I will do Scott's Wave 1s at the same time, but I will be focusing on ones I haven't done on the others. And then we will be back with a live stream again next Thursday. We played, on our previous live stream, we played the Lord of the Rings Duel, which was great, and we filmed that. That'll be a date night soon. And we had a mistake on our latest game night, which is the Avant-Garde, and I am going to be re-uploading that when I'm done here. That we had a little glitch at the problem, and at the very end, literally the last two shots, me doing the little wrap-up thingy, and then Dave and Nikki waving, and we do not know what the deal was. I ended up having to render it out and completely replace that footage. Because it was there when I reviewed it, and it wasn't afterwards. So there was a lot of figuring stuff out there. We are having real problems with Premiere. It sucks because I really love the software, but there's a glitch in there's some problem with multi-camera projects, and they are not fixing it. And I think we're now on the 24 version or 25 version of Adobe Premiere, so I don't know. I'm really bummed. I hope we can get that fixed. Anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Let me see if I can raid somebody on YouTube. There's actually a command to raid, and I don't know what it is. I wish I did. Because it was awesome. Scott did it the other day, and it just... I mean, it is nice giving everyone the opportunity to choose to go, but it was just nice and simple, so it's like, oh, I'll just click out if I don't want to do it. Creator dashboard. But thanks for the chat. Thanks so much for everybody. I will be checking out Captain America. I don't know if I saw that. I don't know. We'll see it this weekend. We're going to find out. If it's playing in 3D anywhere, we might go see it. But let's see who's on YouTube with us. It's funny, Derek was, I don't know, he was not looking at following. That is my new trick now. At least it shows. Now, they're not all playing board games. 80s Alternative New Wave, Twinkle Twinkle and Finca, Board at Home. Well, we're going to go raid Board at Home, I think. They've been up for an hour, so they're not necessarily going to do a big thing. But if you want to join in on that, I don't know if it's family friendly 100%, but you're adults. Make your decisions. Have a great one. Have a great weekend. Stay warm and have fun tomorrow. I will see you guys all next week. Bye, everybody. Let's see. It's going to go here. Let me give me a second. I'm looking at a tiny screen. It's terrible. 7 seconds. Hey, everybody. 5 viewers, 6 viewers. Join in. Thank you so much for joining in, and say hello on the other stream for me. Take care, everybody. And see you guys on YouTube later. You take care. It was really fun. Thanks for the conversation. Bye, everyone.